Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer action. We're here with old Crocky G here, gonna be taking on Norsca, so let's get straight to it. Krokgar's on foot, supported by the Star Chamber Guardians here. We've got Cohort of Sotek, the Legion of Chocolates, and some more Temple Guard. A whole bunch of skinks up front, with some skink skirmishers, the Regiment of Renown Pawhawk Sentinels here, along with a Skink Priest Lord of Heavens up in the air, excuse me, some Chameleon Skinks over on this side, and some Norscan Warhounds over here for the Barbarians. We've also got a Famir Balefiend here, Mist Stalkers, and some Javelins. We've got 3 units of Javs, 4 units of Infantry here, 2 Marauders, 2 Marauder Champs, and 1 Famir Great Weapon. We've also got Wolfric, of course, up on a Mammoth. And yes, we're going to get underway right off the bat here. These Norscan Warhounds getting into my Skink Skirmishers. Not the best situation. I definitely skewed pretty heavily into ranged here. And I don't have that many tools to protect against fast attack units. I'm like, people don't take Hounds against Lizardmen as Norsca because they're really only good against Skink Skirmishers. But, of course, you know, Evan being wizard here just so happened to bring some, so it's going to be tricky to try and protect all these skirmishers, but we'll do our best here. You can see I am sort of focusing these hounds a little bit with the ranged fire, just trying to do as much damage as we can at a distance, but melee engagement just about to get underway here. I'm going to try and draw these Marauder Champions into an unfavorable engagement if we can. But, yeah, we'll see. Definitely going to be a pretty tough time. I normally am a big fan of Krokgar on foot in this particular situation, but because Evan brought a Mammoth here, the Mammoth, of course, has anti-infantry, so it will be better against Krokgar on foot. The reason I take him on foot here is just because since Norsca is so good at fighting monsters, it can be tricky to take a large-type Lord in this situation, but a really nice Penumbral Pendulum there. And I'm going to go ahead and Wind Blast these Marauders here to try and clear them out. We're going to get this big pitched melee engagement here. Curse of Midnight Wind on my side to try and debuff these units as the Star Chamber Guardians and Krokgar are cutting through those Marauder Champions pretty efficiently. The Marauders breaking over on this side is pretty good for me. Meanwhile, over here we've got this Temple Guard matched up on the Balefiend here. You can see Skink Cohort getting absolutely carved up by Marauder Champions. No surprises there, but I am able to secure a few units of Skinks here and provide some Overwatch fire. You can see the Star Chamber Guardians are taking quite a bit of damage. There was a boat dropped there as well, but we do have the Harmonic Convergence on them now, so they're going to juice up their combat stats a bit. The Saurus Scarvet is also on foot, but he's able to get in here and do some good damage to these Famir. Famir, of course, being large, and he has anti-large AP as well, so both of the Regiments of Renown in here fighting. We're able to do quite a bit of damage to these Famir. We're just kind of running out of steam a little bit, taking quite a bit of damage very, very quickly. You can see we're only 3 minutes in, and I've already taken quite a bit of damage here. And unfortunately, we're just not able to really protect these Skink Skirmishers here. So I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and use the Regiment of Renown drop rocks to try and clear out some of those Hounds. We just did a bunch of burst damage to them, but unfortunately that was a big waste of resources. You can see there's champions here. There's a whole nother unit of champions that's basically full health. That drop rocks would have been really nice against them. Over here, these Temple Guards are trying to get in to get on these Marauder Javs, but the Marauders are able to hold them up here, and then a very nice, what is this, Penumbral Pendulum? Yep. Going to cut through those Temple Guard, do some really nice damage there, so yeah, we'll see. So far so good, but we only have a few units of infantry left fighting here, along with the 2 heroes. The Star Chamber Guardians, at the very least, will give them Guardian, of course, but that won't help much against the magic attacks of the Famir. Granted, the Famir are pretty much done for. This unit's been routed off. The Mist Stalkers are coming back in for a nice little rear charge here. That may proc a terror route from some of these units. Does look like the Scarvet actually gets terrified, as he is quite low. But Wolfric, likewise, has taken a lot of damage. The Overwatch fire from the Skinks, along with Crocky G and the Star Chamber Guardians, have been able to do a lot of damage, but it's just the champions are a bit too much here to deal with. You can see why I'm regretting using that drop rocks on those Hounds, because if I had been able to get up on this nice little blob of champions here and use that, would have been absolutely devastating. Might have been able to turn the match in my favor, but as it is right now, Crocky G's in a bit of trouble. He's about to get mashed on by the Mammoth, so we go ahead and pop that thing there. He's going to get, let's see, Enfeebling Foe. I've popped all of his buffs to try and bail him out here. We are also going to use Harmonic Convergence to counter the Enfeebling Foe, and yeah, try and get him out of this situation here. But the balance of power has decidedly turned against me at this point. You can see I'm out of ammo with the Pawhawk Sentinels, and all of my infantry units are done for. The Temple Guard over here are just over chasing. They had finally got into the javelins, but not really being in the right situation at the right time, which is going to be a bit unfortunate. So no really spoilers at this point. Definitely going to lose out on this one. You can see Crocky G's just making his final stand here against the last of the regrouped Famir. I'm trying my best to still get my Skink Skirmishers online. They are still fighting at the end of the day, but those hounds are still harassing them as well, and you can see that's just kind of been the story of the whole match. Ultimately, I do think that I had the tools to win this match. I just think that I misused this unit of Temple Guard here. Instead of moving them up and around that flank, I should have moved them over to this Death Star, because you can see here, like, these Miststalkers and Wolfric are all very, very low. So if I had that extra unit of Temple Guard over here to do that extra little bit of damage, maybe these units get finished off. Likewise, misusing the drop rocks was pretty rough. If I had used that on the blob of champions, I probably could have got a really big break and chased a bunch of them off with skinks and stuff, and then maybe isolated Wolfric and finished him off. A lot of ifs, ands, or buts, but at the end of the day, very well played to Evan there. He had some really nice plays in punishing me for my mistakes, and it will be a victory for Norsca. And it's an interesting one. Like I said, Norsca, I mean, their whole theme is monster hunting, right? And Lizardmen are very much a monster-focused faction, so it's a really interesting matchup, and I definitely think that my build is pretty solid. Maybe if I were to change some things up, I'd probably cut the Chameleon Skink for another unit of the Pterodon Riders, just because the drop rocks are pretty impactful now. They can do quite a bit of damage to infantry. You can see I'm going to try and finish things off here, go after this Mere Balefiend with my Skink Priest, but it's pretty much over at this point. But yeah, in hindsight, I would probably change out the one Chameleon Skink to the Pterodon Riders, just because, again, the Pterodon Riders, the drop rocks is really nice, does a lot of damage, especially to something like champions, and also, you know, since they're up in the air, you don't necessarily have to worry about protecting them from stuff like hounds. Yeah, so honestly, I think if I were to have done that and then just redeployed this other unit of Temple Guard better, I probably could have won. It's tough to say. I mean, they did get 102 kills in an XP Chevron, definitely cut through that sideline pretty well, but I ultimately just needed them to help take down the monsters, and then we could have finished off the rest of the infantry from there. Yeah, maybe I would want a Rev Crystal as well, at least that one monster, but still, I mean, like, it's just so risky taking any big monsters against Norsca. But yeah, definitely Temple Guard, pretty good here. The Star Chamber Guardians kind of got a little bit run over there, but they ultimately were able to pull through at the end. Cohort of Sotek, I could have used them a little bit better, but I do think they're a pretty solid pick here. But yeah, like I said, I would probably just, in hindsight, change up this skirmish line to try and take more resources up in the air rather than on the ground, get some value from the drop rocks, some better value, I should say, from the drop rocks going after the elite infantry here, especially focusing on the champions. Probably could have pulled out a win there, but very well played to Evan. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. I know a lot of you guys are sad about Lizardmen losses, so we're going to go ahead and jump into one more here. If I can find it. Looks like that's the one. So this time we're going with Lizardmen up against Greenskins. Evan, once again, is going to be my opponent. He's got Azag there, a couple of Savage Orc Biggins, a couple of Black Orcs, a whole Daka line, a couple Doom Divers, Spider Riders. He's got, yeah, a couple Goblins. I've got Tehenwin the Tank Engine on his Tank Engine. We've got, let's see here, a Rev Crystal and the Thunderous one, the Regiment of Renown Ancient Stegodon, which I have to say, I love the color scheme on this guy, just that nice bright red. Matches very well with the Cohort of Sotek here. We've also got the Star Chamber Guardians, some more Skinks just for some additional numbers, but yeah, quite a few resources up in the air this time. You can see, kind of learned my lesson from last time. We've got these Pterodon Riders and the Pawhawk Sentinels flying up in the air to harass Azag. And we're going to get things underway. Spirit Leech going off on the Pawhawk Sentinels. Now, this is actually really good play here. Because Spirit Leech does quite a bit of damage to low model count units, you can see it's probably even going to drop one of these models. Yeah, it actually drops one of the unit models of the Pawhawk Sentinels there. So that's some really good value just from one low-cost spell there. Just some kind of counter skirmish. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I do have to say, Azag up in the air is a decent pick here, but it's also potentially pretty risky. The High Slon is not as common of a pick as it used to be, but it still is a possibility, and that Tempest, especially like with the missile tools they have now, or with the Colossedon Hunters or something, that Tempest can potentially be devastating to Azag, so it can be a bit risky in that way. You can see here we're queuing up an orbital bombardment, and yeah, this one is going to be a runaway success here as it just absolutely cuts through this Orc Daka line. Going to just destroy a ton of these error boys. And right off the bat, that puts a pretty significant dent in the balance power. Not too bad, but we do get a Summon Manticore up in the back line as well, going after the Doom Diver. Spider Rider's going to activate, and you can see the Orc Daka line, why I targeted that, because Tehenuin is taking some pretty serious damage. Azag had taken a pretty risky dive against the Thunderous one, been able to do some damage, but he took some damage in return, so maybe a little bit of a risky play there. But Tehenuin just punches straight through this front line, going straight into the back line to try and help support this Manticore, getting a nice rear charge on those Savage Orc Biggins there. Azag's going to go ahead and rear charge him, so a little bit of a risky situation. But meanwhile, Greenskin's going to pop Wa, map wide, and we are going to get the melee engagement mostly underway, but this is really kind of the pitched engagement here. Tehenuin uses that Rampage just to make sure the Manticores stay focused. We're going to move up with the Pterodon Riders here. You can see Azag popped back up in the air, but we did summon up a second Manticore, so Azag's going to be like, oh, nope, let's get back up on the ground here, and then the Manticore immediately drops on the ground as well. So unfortunately, the Spider Riders and the Savage Orcs here are all going to get terrified because they're lower leadership, and Azag has taken a bunch of damage as well. I've just been focusing him with all of these Pterodon Riders and everything. Despite the fact there's counterfire from the Greenskin missile line, I've been able to punch through pretty aggressively here with all the monsters and everything. Thunderous One's tanked a ton of damage. It has a huge HP pool and it's taken a ton of damage, but that does mean that none of my other units have taken that damage. You can see the Skinks have been routed off here, but we've been able to punch through the center with the cohort of Sotek, and the monsters here get in on these missile units. And then over here, the Star Chamber Guardian's able to force a nice little blob here, and here's what the Drop Rocks can do. Oh man, just absolutely obliterates that line of Black Orcs and Savage Orcs. Evan gonna go ahead and throw in the towel there, so yeah, probably not. Like, I noticed, Evan, that you had left a comment saying that you didn't know it was me there, so apologies about that. I thought I had let you know that it was me, but anyway, I know that game was probably a little bit rough for you, that orbital bombardment. I mean, if you do see it coming, you can dodge it, but I guess obviously didn't see it coming. Probably a little bit busy trying to micro Azag to get up and out of that engagement, but ultimately at the end of the day, the Death Star kind of just, you know, armored sledgehammer punching through worked out pretty well. Both of the big dinos tanked out a lot of damage, but they were able to get in the key situations and get some good terror routes going. Of course, the air skirmish along with the Manticores was able to deal with Azag. Like I said, I think Azag up in the air is a little bit of a risky pick here. Personally, I'd probably take Grimgore or Skarsnik here, and just go on the ground and try and just mess up any dinos that get within range of you. But Azag, of course, all pretty much a decent pick in just about any matchup. But here I just think Lizardmen right now have a lot of really good counter air tools if you only have like one or two air monsters. And of course, Greenskins can only really take one air monster. And honestly, this is, I guess, just more of a balance point for the Greenskins, but I would love for them to see I would love to see a Feral Wyvern put in the game for the Greenskins, just to give them a second flying option, because right now only your Lord, either Azag or a War Boss, Orc War Boss, does anyone take those anymore? Anyway, only they can go up in the air, so it's a little bit rough in that you can't support them with anything. It'd be nice to see maybe like you know, a Feral Wyvern unit added to the Greenskins roster. But anyway, I'm getting off course. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that Lizardmen doublecast. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.